Good evening and welcome to the Brew City 140 at the Milwaukee Mile. My name is Takato Timmerman and I will be your broadcast tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got about 5 minutes left of practice before we head into qualification. So while we wait for the practice session to go on, let's take a look at some racetrack information for tonight's race. So today we are at the Milwaukee Mile. It's located in West Allis, Wisconsin. Opened in 1903, a length of about 1.015 miles. And we're looking at a banking of 9.25 degrees on the turns and a 2.5 degree turn, or a degree of angle, a banking angle for the front stretch and the back stretch. Some notable things about this racetrack. There were races held between 2004 and 2009 with a quick break. And then races came back between 2011 and 2015. And there will be a race here in 2024. It's also America's legendary oval, and the Green Bay Packers occasionally hold home games here at the Milwaukee Mile. Let's take a quick look at the schedule and see what's coming up next. So next week on here, it says it's a break, but we will actually be running Road Atlanta next week as a makeup race, as Road Atlanta's race was overlapped to week 13, where we had the big update, the rain update here on iRacing. So we will be making that up, and that will be next week, Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us when we go live then. And let's take a look at our standings real quickly. So as you can see here, Eric Richardson leads in first place with the overall points standings after 5 races. Josh Roczynski is in second place with 159, and Derek Booker, in 153 points, is in third place. Ian Miller and DJ Fluck are very close behind him, 2 and 3 points respectively behind them, with Jake Zito sitting 2 points behind DJ Fluck. There's some really close races throughout this point standing here, so it'll be interesting to see how much it shuffles around after tonight's race. So keep your eyes out for that. I want to remind you all that FR Racing's Indy Racing World Series is presented by Rogue Energy. Make sure you get some good stuff from them and make some good drinks. And let's take a look at some of the things to look out for tonight's race, as we got about another 2 minutes of practice. There's 140 laps total with a fuel window between laps 71 and 72. So we're looking at about 1 to 2 stops per each driver. If they are efficient with their tire management and their fuel, they should only have to do 1 stop. But maybe we'll see some drivers take some interesting race tactics tonight. So keep an eye out for that. 2 laps for qualifying, which we will see in about a minute from now. There will be competition cautions in tonight's race. Not competition cautions, but caution flags throughout tonight's race, unlike last week. So that'll shuffle up the fuel window. So it'll be interesting to see that. There will be 1 green flag, white flag, and checkered flag. And because this is the first race held here, there has not been a previous winner. So tonight's winner will be our first winner here. Also want to give a quick shout out to the Wednesday Night Dash crew. They are starting back up next week. Or sorry, not next week. Tonight. They're going to run the Pocono Mountains 100 right here on Stadium Scene TV. And it will start, green flag will drop at 10:17 p.m. Eastern Time. And they will run till 11 p.m. And it'll be a fun race. And it'll be the Truck Series. Let's take a look at their schedule real quickly. They're running Pocono tomorrow. And then they're going to go straight into Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then Daytona. And then you can see the rest there. So make sure you tune in to Wednesday Night Dash. We do have a new broadcaster for Wednesday Night Dash. So tune in and enjoy the race tomorrow night.
So,
I got a little bit of insider information for tonight's race. I was informed that all the turns here at Milwaukee are very interesting and unforgiving. If you make a mistake, you're going to get sent straight into that wall. So all the drivers will have to be extra careful tonight. So we may be able to use our replay button a decent amount today. So that'll be kind of cool. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully there's some errors with my use of the rewinding. Hopefully you guys will be able to forgive me on that, as it's a relatively new thing that we have. And it looks like qualification time is starting now, as we're taking a look at Ian Miller and his qualifying. And I just noticed we don't have the trading. I don't have the paint schemes on correctly, so I'm getting that up right now. Hope everyone's having a good night so far tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. We got about 4 minutes of qualifying. Let's keep an eye out on the leaderboard and see how much, see who gets pole position and who ends up where. Got our first driver, Mark Roulette, the number 80 car. And it looks like he's getting bumped down a little bit. There you go. There's Ian. There's Ian's paint scheme. Ooh, that was a little bit of blinking there from Miller. Let's hope that doesn't happen too often in the race tonight. And it looks like Richardson currently has the fastest lap at 22.464 seconds. It's pretty quick. It's a tenth of a second ahead of second place, which is pretty amazing, especially in these cars, and how close the racing's been so far throughout the season. So now I think everyone has qualified. Oh no, we got Derek Booker in the number 5 car, and he just ended his qualification run. And we got about 2.5 minutes, and I believe everyone has qualified so far. So right now, if everything stays the same, looks like we have 9 drivers. So there we go. We got McKinney going out to take his qualification run. He is in the number 8 car tonight. So we'll keep an eye on him and see if he can beat Richardson time of 22.464. Let's see where he ends up tonight. We'll take a quick look at the standings. Just look it over. Richardson is currently sitting first place after qualification. He still is currently sitting in our point standing. He is also in the lead. Not by much. We'll see. It'll be fun to watch a battle between Chinsky and Richardson tonight. So keep an eye out for that. Third place of Booker. He is currently sitting in 5th place for tonight's race. And Fluck, who is currently in 5th place, is in the overall point standing, is currently in 3rd overall for the race. So we'll get to see that point standing switch up and change up a lot tonight. So keep an eye out for that. Looks like McKinney did his qualifying run, and he is going to start off in 7th place tonight. We are missing 1 driver for qualification, but we have 50 seconds. He's going to have to go on there soon. Not sure. And I don't think our 9th place driver, as of right now, so without a qualifying time, is Mattingly, the number 23 car. So I believe he will be starting in ninth place tonight. Tonight's race, we have 140 laps. So we got a whole bunch of fun racing to watch tonight. And it looks like we got 10 seconds left. And then we will get to see the green flag to start the race after a parade lap around the course. And that is qualification. Oh, there are 10 drivers tonight. My apologies. Did not notice that. First place, we got Richardson in the number 13 car. Second, we got Miller in the 48 car. Third, Fluck in the number 88 car. Fourth, Chinsky in the number 44 car. Fifth, Booker in the number 5 car. Sixth, Franklin in the number 3 car. Seventh, McKinney in the number 8 car. Eighth place is Ouellette in the number 80 car. Ninth place is Mattingly in the number 23 car. And 10th place is Cawley the second in the number 31 car. As we wait for all the drivers to pop in, let's grab Eric Richardson, our pole position driver, and see what his plans for the race are tonight. Hey Eric, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Hey, congratulations on a great qualifying run. How are you feeling tonight?
Pretty good. 140 laps of chaos, I think.
That's what I heard. It'll be interesting to watch it. So, what are your plans for tonight? If you mind sharing your secret sauce to the broadcast.
I know, go out and hopefully just keep it clean and see what we can do.
Sounds like a good plan. Well, good luck tonight, and we'll be keeping an eye on you during the race.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Take care. And that was Eric Richardson in the number 13 car. He is our number 1 car. And we'll see how his race turns out tonight. We got 140 laps of fun racing, chaotic as he said. So let's keep an eye out and see how well the drivers can handle the chaos tonight. As they go around the parade lap, you can see the slight banking on the backstretch right here. And it's not that big of a banking around the turns either. Thankfully, these cars, the Indy cars, have lots of downforce to keep them on the track. Something I also heard in the grapevine related to this course is that the outer edge does have a little bit more of a speedier run, so maybe we get to see some more overtaking from the outside instead of the inside lane like we always do. And green flag racing is a go. Looks like Miller got a great jump off of the start, but Richardson takes his spot right back and stays on the inside line. So we'll have to keep an eye out for which lines that all the drivers take tonight. As Miller stays on the inside and Richardson is on the outside. And we got some good racing already starting. Looks like everyone's going in a single file throughout the race. Maybe they're getting comfortable. Oh, looks like Jinsky's trying to take Miller's spot right now. Fighting hard for second place. Only a tenth of a second gap separates the two of them. Looks like Fluck, who was started off in third place, has dropped down to fifth place currently. But there are 140 laps in this race. It can be anyone's race, as every race has been so far tonight, or during this series. Looks like we got ourselves a pack. We have about 5 to 6 drivers in the front pack, and then we got 4 drivers in the back half. Richardson has a pretty dominant lead ahead of second place of half a second. And Miller also. Oh, and there's a caution. Let me see. Let's take a look at the replay. Let's see how this goes. Let's see. What happened here? Alrighty, as we take a look, it looks like it was Booker who spun out, did a quick 360, and he went right back into the race, but it was enough to prompt a caution flag to come out. That was our replay. I'm going to bring it back to the live shot. So I will pause the broadcast for a little bit to try to catch back up to the current time. And here we go. We are back onto the broadcast. We are under caution. We will see a couple laps around. So this will probably change the fuel window. We had a caution around lap 6. It looks like we have Colley the second who went into the pits. Booker, who was the person who caused this caution flag to come out, is still sitting in 6th place. He started in 5th tonight and now is in 6th place. So not too bad. I don't think he lost any positions after his spin out, because he got straight back onto the track. But it'll be interesting to see if he has a flat spot or anything like that, or if it'll affect his tire wear a little bit. Curious to see how the racing lines go tonight. As I said earlier, the outside line could have the potential to be faster and see more overtakes from the outside lane. But it'll also be interesting to see how the rubber beads up and spreads around the course, and how it spreads around the corners, because that will definitely affect the traction of these race cars. So it is up to each individual car to make sure that they know where the traction spots are, where the marbles are forming and causing the car to slip a little bit. And also a little bit of luck, I guess. So lap 6, we only had Colley the second in the number 31 car go into the pits. So this probably won't affect the fuel and tire strategy for many of these drivers. It looks like we'll be starting single file. So Miller, if he does get a good jump, will have to go around Richardson. But let's see, as we're about to hit green flag racing, as a pace car goes in, and back to green flag racing. Richardson gets a great jump off the start. Miller a little bit behind, and Chinsky looks like a pretty good jump as well. Looks like everyone's pretty clean so far around turn 2. Going to turn 3 and 4. Looks like everyone's doing good. No one's touching the wall or anything like that. One thing after a caution that I want to keep an eye out for is the tires getting a little bit cold. A lot of the cars not having the traction that they need. As we're watching Richardson just running away from second place of Miller in the number 48 car. He's got a 1.2 seconds ahead. We'll see if he keeps pushing his pace to stay ahead of the rest of the group tonight. Looks like he's found his groove so far. Lap 11 of 140. We've got 130 laps to go. Staying behind after the races and talking to a lot of the drivers, the one thing I hear a lot is that the drivers, after they go into the pits or after they have to get a tow and repair their car, they have a hard time finding their groove again and finding their driving line. As we see Miller And Chinsky and Booker having a good race back there. So let's flip over to them. It's like a three-way race between Miller, Booker, and Chinsky. Was forming. Right now, looks like it's going to be with Franklin. Oh, as Franklin takes over fourth place now. There's a new contestant for second place. We're gonna hop on back to Mattingly, as Chinsky is falling back a little bit. Not sure what happened. Looks like he might have had a slight incident where his. Let's take a look at his car. Oh, he's missing a front wing right now. Yeah. So he may have to enter the pits to get that repaired. And it looks like he is going into the pits to get a repair. So he will be down a lap or two. He was competing for the lead, and I guess he might have tapped the wall a little too hard. As we get back into the race, looks like Colley the second is trying to pass McKinney for 7th place. Good fight for 7th place right now. Richardson's running away with the race. He's 1.8 seconds ahead of Miller. Booker is 1.2 seconds away from Miller. So there's a pretty big gap between first, second, and third. And fourth place, there's about a second gap between Booker and Franklin as well. About half a second behind Franklin is Mattingly and the number 23 car. So we'll see how everything shakes up. But right now, the closest race we got is between McKinney and Colley the second, and the McKinney in the number 8 car, and Colley the second in the number 31 car. I believe McKinney has his, I think it's his Atari paint scheme, and then we also have Fluck, who's getting chased down by McKinney and Colley. They're sit about half a second behind from Fluck in the number 88 car. He's currently in 6th place. And there's about a 3-second gap between 5th and 6th place. We see McKinney hit the wall hard. He's losing his front tire. Let's hope that he can get away from the traffic. And looks like he was able to evade the traffic very well. And he will go into the pits and probably join Chinsky being a lap down in the race. As we hop on board with Franklin, as he sits about 0.7 of a second behind Booker. I did not think that the race would split apart this far. But it looks like Richardson's having a great race right now. So is Miller and Booker. They're sitting with big leads. Sorry, my apologies. Booker is not sitting with a big lead, since Franklin is 0.3 of a second right behind him. As we see McKinney rejoining the race, as Franklin and Booker are duking it out for 3rd place. It looks like McKinney will be splitting the two of them apart. McKinney re-enters the race 2 laps down. As we hop on board with Franklin, with Mattingly sitting right behind him, about 0.4 of a second behind. Looks like McKinney is right in between this race again, between the two close drivers. As the gap widens a little bit to 0.8 of a second, and Looks like Mattingly is having a hard time getting around McKinney. So he takes the inside line. And looks like he is able to go around McKinney. Let's see if he can keep it in this front stretch. And he takes the inside line and is able to run away from McKinney. I believe McKinney might have let off a little bit to let him through. Although early in the race, he is 2 laps down, so there are 113 laps to go. So it, 2 laps down, being 1 lap or 2 laps down, there's still a chance that you can finish on the podium. As we've seen in the race 2, 3, I can't remember, week 3. It was a pretty good race where one of the drivers came back after being 3 laps down. I think they were at one point 4 laps down, and they finished in the top 5. So something to keep an eye out for. Even though you're only 1 or 2 laps down, doesn't mean you can count yourself out of the race tonight. We're on lap 30 with 111 laps to go. And so far, everyone's kind of spread apart. Mattingly's pretty close to the driver in front of Franklin. Looks like he's got a great exit out of that corner. They're just slowly catching up to Franklin for 4th place. Looks like the gap between Ian Miller and Greg Booker, 2nd and 3rd place respectively, have spread out a little bit more, as Miller in the number 48 car has expanded the gap to 3.5 seconds. Ooh, Mattingly's getting real close. He sits only a 1/10 of a second behind, and he goes for the overtake and takes 4th place away from Franklin. Looks like Mattingly has found a really good driving line, so we'll see if Franklin can follow right behind and maintain that same driving line with him, so then they can both climb and get closer to 3rd place of Booker, who sits about 4 seconds ahead of them. Looks like another good race is forming between 6th place and 7th place. So we'll jump over there as Colley the Second and Fluck are racing it out for 6th place. Fluck started 3rd place in tonight's race and is currently sitting in 7th place. And it looks like we're seeing some drivers getting lapped from the lead car of Richardson. It looks like Goulet just got lapped. Chensky was already a lap down. And McKinney started after he went into the pits and came back out. He was already 2 laps down. But it looks like Goulet was lapped by Richardson. And I think we will start seeing cars being hunted down and being passed by Richardson. So let's go hop on to Richardson's car and see how he's doing. Looks like he's not too far behind from Fluck. He's currently sitting in 7th place. And as he passes all these cars and laps them, it'll be interesting to see how that affects the gap between 1st and 2nd place, and as Miller in 2nd place passes the lapped cars, how that affects the gap between him and 3rd place of Booker. Would the extra traffic help the other drivers, or will they hurt the other drivers as they go and get lapped and have to compete against the lead pack? We see Richardson taking the mid to high line around turns 3 and 4, as we take a look at him and see that he also does the same for turns 1 and 2. And we can see Fluck right there sitting in front of him as he's getting chased down. Let's hop on board with Mattingly. Looks like there's a pretty close race forming here for third place between him and Booker. Booker is currently sitting about 5.5 seconds behind Miller. Let's see if Mattingly is able to go around Booker or not. Looks like we got the lapped car of Chinsky right behind the two of them. Oh, that was interesting. We got to see Booker kind of take a little bit of a wider approach into turn 3. It looks like it worked pretty well for him. They're still sitting about 0.3 of a second apart between third and fourth place. Keep an eye on Mattingly and see if he's able to get into a turn nicely and go around, and whether he takes the inside or the outside line. I feel like your driving instincts tell you to take the inside line to get around these drivers, but as we saw Richardson, maybe taking the mid side to high side might be the faster line, as most of the drivers that we're seeing right now take the inside line very close to the edge of the track rather than taking the outside line. And it looks like we have some lap traffic. It looks like Ouellette in 8th place is going to let them go through on the outside line. So we have Chinsky catching up very closely to Mattingly. As the lap cars are trying to keep from getting lapped and get down another lap, as Richardson is slowly coming up on them. It looks like Mattingly has taken over third place, as he had to let off a little bit because Booker was right there. And it looks like Booker has taken a bigger gap after Mattingly had to let off to make sure he did not run into Booker and cause an incident. And we see Chinsky go in front of both Mattingly and Booker to try to prevent himself from getting lapped another and go down to 2 laps down instead of 1 lap down. We are currently on lap 48. We have 93 laps to go. Got a really good race here between Mattingly and Booker. This is our current highlight of the show. Ooh, as we see Mattingly kind of drift a little bit. Is his tire wear gone down? And he is backing away from Booker. He was at one point a second behind, with Franklin catching up to him. And I thought maybe that he would go from attacking to defending. But it looks like he's slowly catching back up to Booker. It may have been that he had to cool his tires off a little bit before he went back onto the attack. And it looks like Booker is slowly losing the battle for second place, as he was at 7.5 seconds, but it looks like my timing might be doing some crazy movements, so I'm not sure how accurate the timing is. Should be relatively accurate. It's going to be better than anything else that I got, so we'll have to be relying on that. between Booker and Mattingly, it's been pretty accurate. So, as the focus of the race is the overall drivers, but the close races are what's the highlights. Oh, we saw some quick maneuvering by Mattingly as he takes the inside line around turns 3 and 4. Looks like he was trying to avoid Fluck, who was a lap car. And it's going to be side by side into the front stretch. And it looks like Mattingly got into turn 1 first, but had to take the inside line and was unable to maintain third place. They are still between a tenth of a second apart. So let's see how this goes. It's a good race between the two of them. Looks like Mattingly takes third place again. Let's see if he's able to hold on to it. And yes, it looks like he's able to hold on to it. He's able to hold on to it into the exit of turn 2. Looks like Booker is trying to take the mid to high line, and now there is a gap of a quarter of a second between the two drivers now. It looks like Miller has caught up to Richardson. So let's go hop on board with Miller and see if we get some good racing going. And there's Richardson in the red car right in front of Miller right there. And the gap is only 3/4 of a second. And we got 85 laps to go. We're on lap 56 so far. Looks like we might get to see a good race for the lead tonight. I wonder if Richardson isn't running as hard to maintain his tire and fuel wear. The fuel window was between laps 71 and 72. We did have the caution on lap 6, so it'll be interesting to see if that affects how much fuel they got, whether it is going to make the drivers go into the pits early, or if it's going to keep them out a little longer. I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I believe that if the caution does happen, majority, if not all, of the drivers will go into the pits to refuel and to get fresh tires. And then it'll be they will need to pit one more time, and it'll be all about strategy and being able to run a smooth and quick race. But obviously, we want to make sure we don't get cautions, since straight racing is a lot more fun than a caution-filled one. Looks like the gap between Richardson and Miller is about 7 to 8 tenths of a second. It keeps fluctuating between the two. It looks like we got another race between Franklin and Chinsky. No, my apologies. Booker and Franklin. About the same gap between the first and second place drivers. So it'll be good to keep an eye out for those two. Well, while there's some green flag racing, let's revisit things to look out for in tonight's race. We're currently on lap 62 out of 140. The fuel window's coming up in about 10 laps. Fuel window being between lap 71 and 72. Looking at 1 to 2 stops. Oh, and I forgot to mention, they do have one quick repair in tonight's race. So if there is a quote-unquote big crash, a lot of these drivers, other than, I believe, Chinsky and McKinney, will be able to use their quick repair. Outside of that, most of the drivers have their quick repair still. It looks like Chinsky's catching up to the lead pack, as he's going to go to look to unlap himself. He's currently 1 lap down. It looks like he's got a really good driving line. He found his groove. And it looks like Miller is potentially defending his spot so then he doesn't unlap himself. And Shinsky's taking the inside line, and looks like he's racing side by side for to unlap himself. And Chinsky does take the position in front of Miller. And let's see if Miller will stay right behind Chinsky to try to catch up to Richardson. Richardson now sits 1.3 seconds ahead of Miller, and that's probably because of the small scuffle that Miller had with Chinsky. Looks like we got a couple good races forming right now. So let's hop over to Franklin and Booker. It looks like Booker has taken his 4th place. Actually, no. Mattingly still sits in 3rd. Booker is trying to protect his 4th place position against Franklin. He's currently 3 seconds behind. And it looks like Ouellette got lapped by Richardson and now sits 2 laps down. So quick update in the back here, in the back part of the rankings and the leaderboards. So we will probably see a bigger gap between Richardson and Miller because of the lap traffic. But we'll keep an eye out on the current race that we are looking at between Booker and Franklin. Busy fighting it out for the 4th place position. We're about halfway through the race. We are currently on lap 70 of 140. Got 71 laps to go. So we're slowly getting there to the halfway point, and this will be the fuel window. So I will turn on the pit lane map, so that way we can see if anyone goes into the pits or not. I believe as soon as Richardson hits the pits, a lot of the rest of the pack will follow. Oh, and it looks like Chinsky was able to unlap himself. So he is now on the lead lap with the rest of the drivers. So that's pretty cool. As it looks like a lot of the drivers are going in. It looks like Booker and Franklin have gone into the pits. Let's hop over to Richardson and see what his plans are, potentially. Looks like the number 23 car, Mattingly, who sits in 3rd place, has also gone into the pits. And Richardson and Miller have also gone into the pits as well. So this is a good chance for all the drivers to either pit now. Oh, as we almost saw an accident there. Who was that? Oh, that's not Chinsky. Was that McKinney? I think Franklin. Yeah, Franklin almost had Booker run into him. So that could have been a pretty bad caution flag that would have come out. And looks like Fluck has gone into the pits. And as of right now, Chinsky's leading the race. Chinsky will have to pit eventually. Since his last pit was around lap 6. So I believe he will go into the pits. He has a little bit more time and fuel remaining where he can stay out and race. But it looks like we got a good race between Richardson and Miller after that pit stop. So we'll keep an eye out for Chinsky and when he pits. I don't think he has much fuel remaining. On lap 77. It looks like Ouellette in the number 80 car has gone into the pits. And as of right now, it looks like Chinsky is not slowing down and has not thought about entering the pits yet. Getting into these pits looks like a fast entry into the pits, straight off of turn 4. It looks like. So there's no slow approaches into it. If you do take a slow approach, you're definitely going to get rear-ended. So something that you want to keep an eye out for and watch out for when going into the pits. Looks like Miller's been staying pretty close behind Richardson. I don't think I've seen him go past half a second yet. And as I say that, he gets a half a second and the gap kind of widens. But it is around turns 3 and 4. And we'll see if Richardson can get his lead back and go back to running a dominant part of the track and expand his lead to over a second again, as it was earlier. Looks like with Chinsky taking the lead, he was able to lap Franklin and Mattingly, Booker, and Franklin. And the next people on his radar are the two drivers of Richardson and Miller. They are about 14 seconds behind Chinsky right now. Remember, Chinsky has not yet pit, so when he goes in for the pits, he will, which should be soon. It is lap 84. He did pit around lap 6, so we're probably looking at probably the next 5 laps. I would think he would have pit by now. So maybe he saved his fuel by slipstreaming and getting around all the drivers, which could be a key part of his plan in tonight's race. So as of right now, Miller is sitting about 7 to 6 seconds in front of Chinsky. Remember, the qualifying times for the lead driver of Richardson was around 22 seconds. So if we take that into account, Chinsky's not that far behind from second and third place. 55 laps to go is enough time for him to catch up to the drivers of Richardson and Miller. And that's if Chinsky continues to race his very good driving line. It looks like Richardson and Miller have hit some traffic with Franklin and McKinney right in front of him. McKinney is in that white and yellow Atari paint scheme. Oh, and there goes Chinsky into the pits. This is going to shake some things up. Let's see how it turns out. Chinsky gets fuel on lap 88. And Richardson and Miller go right around him. Mattingly, Booker, and Franklin will all unlap themselves. And let's see how much closer they all get. It looks like Chinsky is back on track, sitting about 10 seconds behind Richardson Miller. If he is able to maintain the pace that he had when he was leading, he will catch the lead pack in no time at all. It looks like there's a pretty good race for third place between Mattingly and Chinsky, as Mattingly is only half a second behind Chinsky. But we're gonna keep an eye on the race for the lead between Richardson and Miller for a little bit longer. As they're about to encroach some more traffic. Looks like it'll be 3 cars of Franklin, Colley II, and Booker. So unfortunately, after they just unlapped themselves, after Chinsky went into the pits, Richardson and Miller are catching them, and they will be lapped cars again. The first car Richardson will have to pass is Colley II in the number 51 car, the dark blue car there. And looks like he was not able to find a good place to get in front, as Richardson takes the inside line and gets around Colley II, with Miller following close behind. Ooh, and Miller and Richardson go too wide into turns 3 and 4. And Franklin will be their next target. And it looks like the lap traffic has helped Miller out, as Miller has gone side by side and was at one point under a tenth of a second apart from Richardson. Looks like the gap widened a little bit, but Miller got a good exit out of turn 4 and was at one point under 0.2 of a second behind Richardson. So far, a close race. And don't forget, keep an eye out for Chinsky. He is only 7 seconds behind first and second place right now. So that would be something to look out for as he closes the gap. Got 46 laps to go. We are currently on lap 95. Looks like McKinney in the number 8 car has gone into the pits. He did go into the pits early in the race, so this will be his second stop. He had the slight incident where he ran into the wall, and I believe that was probably around laps 15 to 20-ish. Oh, and it looks like there's a lot of lap traffic in front of Richardson and Miller. Looks like it is Franklin and... Oh, who is that? Is that... Let's see, there's Richardson. I believe that's Franklin right in front of him. And a little further in the distance, that white car that just zoomed past the camera, that is Booker. As Richardson takes the inside line to try to get in front of Franklin and was unable to do so. And Miller, with all this traffic in front of Richardson, and as he tries to navigate it, takes full advantage of that and catches right back up to Richardson. Ooh, some close racing there. Richardson goes too wide with Franklin there and was unable to pass him on turns 3 and 4. We'll see if Miller is able to capitalize on this and get around Richardson or not. What it looks like is Franklin is also taking the higher line and is not letting Richardson get around him. So Richardson has to... Oh, and looks like Richardson was able to get in front and laps Franklin and puts him down a lap. Oh! Looks like there was no contact, but that was close. Miller currently leads the race. That was almost an incident right there. Not sure if they made any contact. But Miller leads the race 101 lap into this race. Wow. That was a gutsy move by Ian Miller in the number 48 car, but it looks like it's paid off. As Miller almost hits Franklin as well, exiting the corners, turns So let's see if Richardson can take advantage of the fact that Miller had to let off to make sure he did not hit Franklin. Looks like Franklin is the gatekeeper and is keeping the two lead drivers from going around. And this is allowing Chinsky to catch up, as Chinsky's only 2 seconds behind the number 48 and number 13 car. Oh, as we see Chinsky right there, kind of tapped the wall. Looks like he was able to save it. But he looks like Chinsky is driving hard. He is taking full advantage of the whole course and making sure that he has a fighting chance to take first place away from the two drivers that have had the lead, Miller and Richardson. And the gap is closing behind Richardson and Chinsky. 1.2 seconds now. So that's something to keep an eye out for. And it looks like Franklin has picked up the pace a little bit. And that might be... Ooh. As we saw both Franklin and Miller tap the wall. So let's see if Richardson is able to capitalize on that and try to go around the cars. Oh, we're going to get a traffic jam. We're going to see a traffic jam. Looks like Miller was able to get around Franklin. But Franklin is now in the fight for unlapping himself. Booker is unwillingly getting involved into this fight. So we are going to see a 5-pack of cars. 2 cars trying to not get themselves lapped. And 3 cars fighting it out for the lead. It does look like Booker has, or sorry, not Booker, Franklin has relinquished his position. No, he has not. Chinsky just had a really good driving line and was able to go around Franklin. And Richardson is still stuck behind Franklin. Chinsky is on a crazy pace. Oh, and we just saw Booker hit the wall, and I think he might be getting... He is lapped. He is now a lap car as Miller gets in front of Booker. Oh, it's going to be a close race between the two of them. And looks like Booker is going to be the gatekeeper now for the leaders and make it a close fight for the lead between Miller and Chinsky. Chinsky takes the inside line and takes the lead away from Miller. But Chinsky wasn't able to use the full width of the track as Miller prevented him from doing so. Richardson is still sitting behind Franklin, unable to pass him. Oh, and we saw Booker try to take the turn wide and hit the wall. And it looks like we're going to go through. Oh, Miller had to let off, hit the brakes a little bit, and let Chinsky through. Some aggressive driving by Chinsky. Clean racing so far, but very, very aggressive. As we see the lead cars try to take the inside to go around their lapped car counterparts. It looks like Richardson was finally able to get around Franklin. Chinsky and Miller. There's looks like Chinsky's just slowly tearing away from Miller. Looks like Miller's been stuck in second place for a lot longer than a lot of the other drivers in tonight's race. At the first half of the race, he was following behind Richardson, who was leading the race for a while. And now we have a new race leader of Chinsky. Maybe not new. I wouldn't call him new. As he had the incident, unlapped himself twice. Because he was 2 laps down at one point, and now sitting in the lead. We're currently on lap 115 with 26 laps to go. And Chinsky's running away. He's currently 1.3 seconds ahead of Miller. And Richardson is 1 second behind Miller. Top 3 drivers are currently our closest competition right now, I think. And it looks like a lot of the lap traffic has caused this shakeup in the top 3 in the second half of this race tonight. So far, a pretty clean race too. It's been really fun to watch. I thought it would be a little more chaotic, but we only saw one caution so far. No announcers jinx. Hopefully tonight. Knock on some wood here. Caution happened on lap 6. Looks like fuel strategy wise, everyone's looking pretty good. The one to look out for would be Miller and Richardson, who took fuel on lap 72, while Chinsky took fuel on lap 88. So the biggest question for second and third place is who has the better tires, or not better tires, but who managed their tire wear better, and who managed their fuel, if they need to be fuel efficient, who managed their fuel better as well. That is something we'll find out in these last 21 laps, as we are currently on lap 120, before we get the white flag and the checkered flag right after that white flag lap. As we go into 20 laps to go, let's hop on board Richardson's car and watch the view from the inside as they go into the back stretch. And as we can see, Miller, oh no! Wow, look at that! Running that high line right there, the outside line. Just pushing the car. Not sure how he does it with the tire wear. As you can see, the drivers do shift from 5th gear to 4th gear. At least Richardson does. So he just shifts between 4th and 5th. We'll have to go on board with Chinsky and see what he does, as he's 3.5 seconds ahead of Miller. So we'll go hop on board with Chinsky and see what his shifting and what his driving line looks like. Looks like he downshifts all the way to a 3rd gear. As we see him go into 3rd. As he touches the inside line. Oh, and just misses the... He's using the full width of the course tonight. It's he's really pushing the car and pushing the track. As he downshifts all the way down to 3rd, starts speeding up in the apex of the corner, and just floors it, and as creating a bigger gap between him and 2nd place of Miller. 15 laps to go on lap 126 of 140. Chinsky is navigating through the lap traffic of Roulette and McKinney. Roulette, who he just passed, is now 4 laps down, and he's looking at lapping McKinney, who is 3 laps down. We'll see if McKinney will let Chinsky through, or will make Chinsky fight for it, as we get a pretty good view of the Atari theme. We'll hop back on board with Richardson. That's not Richardson. There we go. Who is currently 0.3 of a second behind Miller now. And Richardson has a different race strategy compared to Chinsky. It looks like he stays on the outside line and only downshifts to 4th gear. Let's hop on board with Miller and see if he downshifts to 3rd gear. And it looks like Miller upshifts all the way to 6th gear. And downshifts all the way down to 3rd. Let's see, 4th gear right here. 5th gear. And 6th gear. And goes all the way down to 3rd gear. So Miller has a lot of shifting to do throughout this whole race. So that's a lot of work for Miller. So it's interesting to see the three different strategies tonight between the 3 different leaders that we had of Chinsky, Miller, and Richardson. Chinsky staying on the inside and the outside, using the full width of the track, shifting from 3rd gear all the way up to 5th gear. Miller, who looks like he's using about the mid part of the track, shifting all the way from 3rd gear all the way up to 6th gear. And then we have Richardson, who shifts from, doesn't go below 4th gear, stays at 4th gear, and just shifts all the way up to 5th. I'm not sure if he goes in, yeah, it doesn't look like he goes in 6th gear. And at one point it was working for him, so I'm not sure if that's something that he would potentially change as he gets around Ian Miller and takes 2nd place back with 9 laps to go. As we're on board with McKinney, as he looks like he's fighting it out for 7th place? I'm not sure. No, he's just trying to make sure he doesn't get lapped by Chinsky again, I believe. Looks like all the way around there's a pretty big gap. Richardson was able to take off and leave Miller in 3rd place with a 1.5 second lead. And I think we'll just put the camera onto all the close races. We'll pan over to Chinsky, as it looks like he passed Franklin, who's currently in 7th place. We have 6 laps to go. And we'll hop back over to Fluck, as he is slowly getting closer to McKinney, with Booker right in front of him. It looks like Richardson, who's in 2nd place, has caught up to the pack of Fluck and Booker. And looks like Fluck will let Richardson go. And we'll see if Booker does the same. Got 4 laps to go before the white flag and the checkered flag. Now at 3, looks like Chinsky will finish the race dominantly with a 10-second gap between him and Richardson. And Richardson will also finish the race, unfortunately not in 1st, in 2nd, but way ahead of Miller with a 4-second gap, after they had a really close race for majority of the race tonight. 2 laps to go before we hit white flag conditions. And looks like Booker hit the wall pretty hard there. We have Ouellette coming up fast behind Fluck. Looks like this will be a battle for 9th place between Fluck and Ouellette. And it looks like Booker is going to let Fluck go, as Fluck stays on the inside line, which will make his approach into the turn interesting. And it looks like that is the race. So far, Chinsky is finished. He finishes in 1st place. And it looks like majority of the standings are set as we see the other drivers coming in. So in first place we have Chinsky, the number 44 car. Second place we have Richardson, the number 13 car. Third place we have Miller in the number 48 car. Fourth place we have Mattingly in the number 23 car. Fifth place we have Booker in the number 5 car. Sixth place we have the number 31 car of Colley II. Seventh place we have Franklin in the number 3 car. Eighth place we have McKinney in the number 8 car. Ninth place we have Fluck in the number 88 car. And in 10th place we have Roulette in the number 80 car. As we see Chinsky doing his burnout. As rightfully so, as he has won the race tonight. So, and in pretty big fashion too, with a big gap from first and second place. Pretty good race tonight by all the drivers. Hey Ian, welcome to the broadcast. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, I am doing pretty okay.
Nice job on the race tonight. It looked like a tough race for you tonight, but you hung on, ended in third place. How was
Uh,
how did it feel tonight?
I mean, the car felt really pretty good. I'm glad about that. Yeah, it was just a fuel saving race. Trying to get around some of the blue flags right when I got past Richardson. Um, you know, I just burned up a lot of fuel trying to get past those guys as quickly as possible, and that backfired on on the last 15 laps or so. But made it to the end with 700ths of a gallon left.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's a that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I just pulled the clutch in coming out of turn 4 and just coast across the line.
Wow. Well, good job on tonight's race. Do you have anyone you like to thank tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my lovely, beautiful fiance and my job for paying me so I can afford to do this.
Oh, well, great job tonight. Thank you very much for joining the broadcast. And hope to see you next week.
Yeah, should hopefully I've got work till 9:30, and this starts at 10 my time, so I'll be booking it before I start.
Well, drive carefully. Number one thing is
Yeah, it's a
safety.
20
So
yeah, it's a 25-minute drive, so cutting it close.
yeah, that's pretty close. But well, we'll see you next week. Good job tonight, and thanks for joining the broadcast. Hey, Eric, do you have a copy?
Yeah, gotcha.
Nice job on tonight's race. Looked really strong in the beginning, and then um, Joshua kind of took over near the end. But other than that, how did everything go? We just heard from Ian, and now he finished with 700th of a gallon of tank or gas in his tank. So kind of curious to hear how much fuel you had left in the tank near the end.
I still had another 3 laps to go,
Okay,
so I was doing okay.
I watching both you and Ian race and seeing all the lap traffic kind of was interesting to watch that. And how was the race overall for you? Was it did you find a pretty good line? Was able to keep it for majority of it? And did you switch up the race strategy as the race went on into the later stages?
Yeah, I was just kind of watching to see what the other drivers were going to do, if they were going to make it a two-stop or a one-stop race, and just trying to poke my way around and just keeping it clean.
Cool. How's uh how's tire wear for tonight's race? We saw you taking a little bit of the outside line compared to Ian, who took more of the middle to inside, and Joshua, who took the full course of the whole race.
Yeah, a lot of it was just taking what was given. I'm comfortable running all 3 lanes and just kind of picked in the middle.
Okay, yeah, because we hopped onto your into the cockpit view for your car, and we kind of heard the tire kind of screeching a little bit, so I was a little concerned if, or not concerned, but was wondering if the tire wear is a little heavier. But good to hear that it wasn't too much heavier. Do you have anyone you'd like to thank tonight?
No, just everybody coming out and continuing to race week after week. It's a pleasure and honor to host everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and hope to see you next week.
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
And Joshua, our race winner, nice job tonight. You started off a little, it was a little rough at the beginning, but now, and then near the end, actually at the end, or way past the end, you took the lead away from Eric and came out on top with a 10, almost 11-second gap.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was started the race. I was feeling confident. I was just trying to play the long game, fuel save. I was happy to let Ian and Eric just try and battle it out at the front. Caution came out, helped save a bit more fuel, and then just had an unfortunate dive from somebody down into turn one that took off my front left end plate on my front wing. So forced me to come into pit. Ended up being a lap down for the remainder of the race, but turned out it actually ended up, I think, being my saving grace, because it let me just run full rich for the remainder of the race and still go all the way to the end, versus having to run a fuel saving strategy.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because we saw you at one point. I panned over to you and I saw that you were missing part of the front wing, and I'm like, oh no, when did that happen? And we saw you go a lap down, and I'm like, this was in the near the beginning, so I figured there was a good chance that you'd come back, and that no bets were off for you, and you came back to win it. So I was happy
Yeah,
to.
man, I
It was
was.
it was fun to watch you just slowly just pass everyone and get back up to the top. So nice job. Um,
Thank you.
it was really
Yeah, for
fun
the
to watch you
first.
use the whole track too. That was really good racing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's something that, and just watching all the track guides, and I even tried to pull up the old IndyCar for the IRL series when they were running here, and none of their lines really worked with this fixed setup to be able to carry the speed that I felt I needed. And so I just was hoping that my tires would hang on running that inside line. Did a little bit of practice earlier in the week to try and test what a stint looked like, just taking only that inside line, and yeah, it just ended up being the fastest for me. Um, yeah, I was praying that whole race for a safety car to come out, and then as soon as everybody else pit and I went in for the last one, I was like, okay, now please, no safety car from this point on.
Yeah, because I think you went in around lap 88 for fuel on your second fuel after you pitted the first time, and that was your second stop. And I think you were one of the only ones that had two pit stops. So it was different, but it worked out for you really well. So
Yeah, it was just the damage. I mean, I had no turn in from losing that front end plate, so I had to go in and pit, or within probably 6 laps, I would have already been a lap down anyways. So I figured,
oh
you know what, dive in, get it repaired, give me a race car that's 100%, and I'll just see what I can salvage. And I'm just glad that it ended up going my way.
yeah, good job tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
I just want to shout out to my teammates at SRT, watching the stream, always supporting for in these races, helping me with practice. Same thing with all the guys at HSR. Unfortunately, a lot of them couldn't be here tonight, but shout out to Wyatt, who helped run this track with me. Um, yeah, just really enjoying this league and looking forward to the final 4 races of the season.
Sounds good. Well, have a good night and hope to see you next week.
Thank you. You as well.
And congratulations on your race win.
Thank you. All right. You have a good night, man.
Thanks. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in our broadcast tonight. Remember, next week we will be at Road Atlanta as a makeup race, so we'll be here 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join us here, right here at on Stadium Scene TV, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you all have a great rest of your night, and also join us tomorrow night for Wednesday Night Dash, our first season race, or not our first season race, our first race of the season will start tomorrow at 10 p.m. Thank you very much and have a good night.